Hi everyone, it's Heidi from flutterbyheidi.co.uk, and today I'm creating something using the lovely Floating and Fluttering stamp set, which won't be around for very much longer. So if you love this, then get it now. Lovely stamp set that has these beautiful butterflies that cut out either individually or all in one go. Coordinating dies, and it includes 2 dies that cut out this whole piece, and that's what I'm going to be using today because I want both the shape and also the stamped image as well. Also fabulous frame, always useful to have a good size frame in your arsenal as well. So this is the card we're creating. So as you can see, it doesn't look particularly different until you open it, and I've just created a kind of modified aperture on this and then use that insert actually to pop on the inside of the card. So when it sort of stands up, you've got that lovely floating and fluttering sort of feel, and as I say, I've just used some Stampin' Blends to colour those in as well. So let's get started. You're going to need some thick Whisper White cardstock for the base, and I'm using a piece that is just half a sheet of A4, obviously depending on what country. In the UK that's 10.5 by 29.7. I'm just going to trim it down to 29 centimetres and then score at 14.5 like so, and that creates our 10th fold card. If you work in inches in the UK, that's 4 1/8 by 11.5, scored at 5 3/4. So then you want a piece of contrasting card. Now I'm using the Brights pattern here. No, that's Regals. I am using the Brights, which I can't find my open pack of. Oh, okay. So I'm using Brights, and this is obviously my Melon Mambo. So I'm just going to cut this layer down to 10 by 14 centimetres. Just going to create our layer, and I'm going to cut some DSP, just again half a centimetre, so 9.5 by 13.5, and that's for our panel there. And these are actually the new patterns that are coming out in May, so the colours are still staying the same, but you're going to have these lovely new patterns instead, which are, I'll show them you in, okay, here are my in colour ones. This is the Magenta Madness. So you can see here, this is our, on the one side you've got like a grid, and the other almost like a fleur-de-lis kind of pattern, and then we've got this sort of tile pattern with some lovely lines on as well, and obviously you get lots of sheets of that in the in colours because you get it doubled up, but in the main ones you get 2 sheets of each pattern, around about, it's 40 sheets anyway, so that's what I'm going to use. So I'm just going to add this to my cardstock using a little bit of Tombow, and it's a new one that I haven't even opened yet. So I'm just going to whip off the wrapper. So yeah, this is, in fact I might even use the other end because it's going to be quite runny, and what I don't want is big gloops of glue on the other side. Okay, so pop that onto your card, and that just gives you that little narrow border all around, so 2.5mm border. And then what you want to do is take a pencil or a pen, and you're going to mark at about 5 centimetres on this one side, and in fact I want to put it on my card first. Yeah, we are still going to mark it in a moment, but we're just going to add it to the front of our card first, because rather than trying to cut it and then line up all the layers, much easier to pop our card onto the front of our card base and then cut it. Not least of all because if you're careful you'll keep it attached at the top corner. So as I said, about 5 centimetres up on there, so about 1/3 by about 3.5. And you see I've just made 2 little marks on there. And come in with your trimmer, and what I'm going to do is just line up the mark in there and just come in very slightly. And just cut up to the top. Just come up to that score line, flip it around and do the same, but up to the actual score line all the way. So you're kind of as if you're cutting it diagonally. So what will happen is this front piece, this bottom section will come away completely. This one won't quite come away. So you just want to leave that little sort of shape at the top, just to add a little bit more interest. There we go. You don't have to measure it though, it doesn't have to be that precise if you don't want to. And then this piece, once you've rubbed away those little marks, will go straight onto the inside of our card. So again, just add, I'm using our sort of liquid glue here. To add that to the inside. Like so. So just pop that to one side and then we can crack on with our stamping. So I've just got a piece of Whisper White here, just our standard Whisper White, and I'm going to use my Memento ink, and I've got my Floating and Fluttering. So just ink that up really well. And the reason I'm using Memento is because I'm going to colour with my Stampin' Blends, so alcohol marker, so we therefore want a non-alcohol based ink. And as I said, what I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to cut, you'll see on this one, I've cut the front layer and then I've backed it with a separate layer on the reverse, just to keep it really nice and firm. So as always, I've just got a little bit of post-it tape or post-it note or washi tape, whichever your preferred one is. I personally am preferring to use post-it notes or post-it note tape when I'm doing my die cutting. This one will fit into the mini cut and emboss machine, these dies, so you can just pop those onto there. Run that through, so you're going to create your sandwich with your white base layer and your plates on the top, and then you'll come out. And when you'll see I use my Stampin' Pierce mat. You get a lovely stamped image and a plain one as well. And what I'm then going to do is just colour that in with blends. And I'm using a range of colours. I'm using my light Daffodil Delight, just to add a base of colour. Now obviously if you wanted to, you could colour, because they're obviously different shapes, you could colour all of these in differently. You could make them really precise. In fact, I'm actually going to use my other one. I was hasty with die cutting that one out. Yeah, that's better. It's more, well, actually it doesn't matter so much because I'm going to be cutting it apart actually, yeah. No, ignore me. And I'm then coming in with my light Bermuda base. So I've kind of stuck to the palette of the brights, and I'm just kind of coming in with those. And I say you can do as much or as little as you like. And then use my light, actually I'm using my real red on this one, just because I couldn't put my hands on my Poppy Parade, or a bright red or pink. You know how it is sometimes, you just can't. Probably because I've used them, put them to one side to use in another project. And what I'm doing is I'm sort of coming in a little way, because I want to give enough space for me to come in from the outside and actually blend those colours to kind of get a bit more of an effect. So you'll see I've just sort of come down on those, and they look quite separate already. So what I'm going to do is just come in and blur over that again with my Daffodil Delight. So it makes the Daffodil Delight a bit darker, but it sort of softens those colours in, so it'll get some bluey greens, and obviously the more you go over that, the more it will blend. The other option that you have is to use our blending pen colour lifter, and you can just go in and add some. You go over that, it'll then add some sort of highlights. What that does is sort of pushes the colour into the cardstock. So you'll need to do that on 2, as you can see here. And then we're going to do a bit of snipping. So I'm just going to come in and just partially cut away those leaves. Now, if you wanted to, you could use the whole one, but I kind of wanted to keep this just as the outline of those. So I'm just keeping it fairly well trimmed, and just keep those butterflies together just on the outside here. And then you're going to just need do the same on these blank ones. So I've cut again 2 with the butterflies on, and 2 without. So we have one there, and as I said, another one. And then this is the sort of fun bit of a sort of variation on a suspension card. And for the extra time, you know, it's just a little bit more interest. For the recipient, have something a little bit different. So hopefully this should be nicely stuck now. And so now what we want to do is line up our card base, and we're going to stick our butterflies across the edge. And what I like to do is pop our blank one underneath, because you can really sort of see then by lining it up where the glue needs to go. So what I did on this original one, actually I'd forgotten that. I actually trimmed away one of those. There we go. So as you can see here, I can easily see where I need to add the glue to those. And this is how we make sure we haven't got lots of glue on the bits we don't want. And so my being a new Tombow, and just make sure it sort of lines up like so. And if you get any bits where it is starting to be a bit gloopy, or there's a bit much, like mine, it's a bit new, then just use the other opposite end of your Tombow to spread that. And on this one, it doesn't matter so much if it comes over onto these other pieces, because it's going to be covered up, and that's me knocking my tripod out of the way, so apologies for that. So as you can see, we've now got our space to get our perfect alignment on these. So really easy to now add some glue to the reverse, and you can add it across the whole of that, much easier than trying to work out where those little suspended bits go. And you just make sure you've got a good covering, because that's almost going to kind of like close the gap on our 2 layers as well. So nicely gluey. A little bit out of shot there, apologies. And then there we go. layer 1, layer 2, and just give those a nice little press with your hand. And then the last one, because this is just a simple one, we can just add that in. Gosh, this glue really is. tell it's new. Now, this one I am going to pop on the front first. Just quick flip. And there we go. So there we have a pretty suspended butterfly card, Melon Mambo, Daffodil Delight, using the lovely in colour, the lovely family colours of the DSP, come in a little 6x6 stack, and a really pretty card for you to gift. So thank you for watching. Do come back and see me again soon. As always, please hit the subscribe button. Makes a big difference to me. And come back and see me soon. Bye now.